call the meeting to order. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Dean Rister?
Reister, yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Here.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Here.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes, sir.
Ryan Smith?
Yes.
Approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. As Dean first and Bryce second. Just to help you.
One thing, Bryce. Do we
Reister and Dean.
all? How do you do? Do we need a roll call again?
Yeah, I've been called a lot worse.
Whoever did the first
yep,
and then the second
yep.
and down.
All right. Dean Reister?
Yes.
Bryce Steiner?
Yes.
Jason Franks?
Yes.
Steve Jordan?
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt?
Yes.
Ryan Smith?
Yes, sir.
Financial report.
You all received a copy of the finance report. Most of that was done by Amy, but I guess I was here for the last week of it. But if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If not, I guess might have to sign the reconciliation report.
Was there something at the fire hall that went on, or the EMS building with the water line repair? Anybody know about that? With Ashley? I don't know if they had approved or something.
You have a certain spot you can direct it to, Dean, that you can look at.
Are we in the expense report, I assume?
Yeah, which
Ew,
one?
it's page 3, top, just below
Check
Towser.
register, probably.
Ashley
Check register
McNeil.
report in
Oh, the
there.
check register report?
Yeah, probably.
Indoor water line repair for $326.
Right here.
Yeah, that was.
Just curious what went on.
Before that was on the 2nd of February, so I was not in the position at that time. So
I
I can't
I
answer
kind
that
of
question.
presumed you might not know, so that's why I just kind of asked if anybody knew.
I don't know.
Was that when there was, we had that night that it was really cold and the fire trucks were actually out over here across, I wonder if that was something to do with,
No, for the repair to the fire truck?
well, I don't
I
know.
know I
if-
just paid a bill for that this month. They had a fire truck that froze up when it was really cold one night. The pump
Okay.
froze up on it, so I
Okay.
doubt that's what this was. But,
Well, they were doing some kind of training that night where it was really cold.
okay.
And I wonder if maybe it's,
Yeah.
I would think that'd fall under the fire department, but then again, Ashley's in charge of that too, so
Yeah, I don't know.
it's no big deal. I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
I second.
You need it first and then
Kenny was 2? All right. Dean,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Bryce,
yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Steve,
Yeah.
and Brian Smith.
Yes, sir.
And then I assume that she has passed the bank reconciliation out for you guys to sign.
Okay, George, police report.
You all have a copy of my report. Do you have any questions?
Everybody's happy.
George, you have a golf cart inspection. Just a question, did we get that changed on the motor size on golf carts for George's inspections?
That's not the issue. When we talked with him, the issue is whether it's,
It's state regulated if you're talking about what I had brought up about the motor.
Yeah,
Is
right,
that
it is.
correct, George?
That is correct.
It's state deal. We can't mess
So
with
we're all on board with.
Yes, we are.
it. Yep, we can't change it.
Right.
And thanks, George, for putting that information for us.
Oh, it's helpful.
It was.
get this signed up.
Okay, go ahead with your ordinances.
Ordinances, okay. We have a third reading of ordinance 2023-03. An ordinance to authorize the village fiscal officer to transfer $9,576.25 from the general fund to the severance pay reserve fund.
Make a motion, we pass.
I'll second that.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Steve Jordan.
Steve. All right, motion to pass. Dean Reister,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Brian Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody would be happy we didn't have to do an emergency.
God, those are coming.
We don't have any do it.
All right, we have
Those are
the,
coming.
We got enough.
we have the third reading to
We got
ordinance
one without.
2023-05, an ordinance authorizing the village administrator into a third addendum to the agreement for collection, transportation, and disposal of residential solid waste within the corporation limits of the village of Antwerp, Ohio.
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Is that,
Jason.
Jason.
One, Bryce
All
second.
right. Motion to accept the ordinance, Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
all right, Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Okay. The next one is ordinance 2023-09, which is an emergency reading. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an easement pay schedule and to execute easement and the right-of-way and to supplemental easement and right-of-way to the Ohio Power Company, a unit of American Electric Power across properties owned by the village of Antwerp, parcel number 1208S00801 and 12-20S013-00 for the Payne South Hicksville line number 160-09090 and declaring the same an emergency.
Is this different than the last one? Because last time it said Haviland line.
Yeah. Whatever they sent most recently that Brian forwarded me said that now. So I'm just going with what AEP sent,
So-
and now it's two. They need to do that supplemental easement, which was the one on the last one, but now they need this other, they need an easement on this other one.
There's another little lot.
Doesn't that start in
It's on
Hammond?
Brian,
I think?
Sir.
you don't see any problem with that, do you?
No, we need to pass this, because ultimately it's gonna
Yeah.
take
So,
place.
What are they doing with it?
It's where they're repairing the power lines going between Hicksville and Antwerp. They're upgrading their lines. They want a bigger easement.
Payne, Hicksville, wasn't it?
It's Hicksville, Antwerp, Payne, yeah.
This one
Goes
says
down
that,
the
last
line,
one
so-
said Haviland.
Yeah,
Yeah, it goes
whatever
nice.
they sent this last time, it said Payne Hicksville line. If you look on the exhibits, on the supplemental, or I'm sorry, the easement pay schedules, you'll see it says line name. If you look at the upper left-hand corner, that's where that line name came from. Before it said something, it said that Haviland, but now it says it's Payne South Hicksville, so that's where that change came from their documents.
I think they're gonna replace them with all metal poles, I believe.
But are they increasing it from 50 feet to 60 feet? Is that, the drawing showed two dimensions on there, like they were widening it by 10
It's
feet.
hard to read.
I think that's right.
I read through there and I thought, man, there's a lot of legal lingo in here.
Yeah.
Are you good with it now?
Well, this is the supplemental easement and right of way, those documents, those are standard documents for an easement. Yeah.
They're not
I have
intending to
concern
put
with
like
that.
the high power transmission lines through there because of the solar
The
fields,
last
are they?
meeting we had, I
Because
thought y'all were gonna talk to AEP. I
They
don't
weren't
know.
able
they
to-
canceled the meeting on us.
Okay.
Well, they were sick.
I don't know
And
any
we
of
had it
those
scheduled and
answers.
they didn't,
That's again for that AEP representative. I don't know any of those answers.
okay, because I'm not in favor of having high
I
power
haven't had any
transmissions.
direct communication with them. Brian
lines.
forwards this stuff to me and I prepared the ordinance. I looked at the legal documents, the
Yeah.
easements, those are just
Yeah.
standard legal documents.
Yeah, it's
but
yeah,
Your specific questions on the project, that's for the AEP representative.
that's right. No, I am not in favor of having high power transmission lines go through residential neighborhoods.
We've already got it.
I think that's what they're gonna do.
It's already there.
We've got
already got
some lines that
69,000
It's
maybe
the
don't-
same lines. It's the same thing going through there. They're just gonna increase the pole size and it's gonna probably be the same.
they obviously, they need something more because they want more land,
A bigger pole.
Yeah, it's probably
which
gonna be
means
like
more
the-
power,
Not
which means
necessarily.
going over more kids.
And probably gonna be the big steel poles, right?
And they're gonna have to change the steel, it's probably a standard size for the steel over top of wood.
Yeah,
And they can make steel bigger than woods, and the steel gets them above the trees, so they don't have a problem with trees
yeah.
over the wood poles that are there. I mean, we're not gonna stop them from doing it.
I'm not voting for it until they tell us what they're doing.
I'll make
We
a
have-
motion, we suspend the rules of 3 readings.
Motion to suspend by Dean, is there a second?
I mean, I can second it, then we're gonna vote on it, right? So, yeah, I'll second that.
All right, motion to suspend the rulings. All in favor, Dean?
Yes.
Okay, Brian Smith,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
No.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
and Kenny Reinhardt.
Yes.
All right.
So now it's the discussion.
If you guys wanna have more
Right.
discussion.
So I just have to put it out there, like I've had a lot of people come to me about this. It does affect people in my neighborhood, so obviously then I'm kind of an ear that's closest to it, but, you know, it's a lot of property and people are asking, you know, like people, I had, you know, a friend, not even a friend, but just a village resident that just bought a new house. And now they're basically telling them what they can and cannot build in the back of on the land that they're paying taxes on. So I don't know the ins and outs of it, and it sounds like there's nothing we can do about it anyway, even if we want to vote for no, because the law of eminent domain and all that stuff. But I just wanted to be out there that there are definitely village residents that are not happy about this, and it is affecting them I mean, there's one of them that has to move their entire pool, and there's a history with that. But like, if you go and look where the stake is in their yard, it's damn near 10 yards off their house. And so they can't do anything from after 10 yards off their house by putting anything out there, which again seems kind of crazy to me. But I've talked to Brian, Mel said that before, it doesn't sound like there's anything we can do about it. So, but again, I just thrown it out there.
Are these people being contacted with this same easement?
They have been contacted by AEP, and some of them are all right with it because it works out in their favor, if you will, just relative to, hey, we're going to take 2 trees and give you a paycheck. That's better than we're going to have to move your entire pool and you basically don't have, they're not going to have the amount of yard to be able to put the pool in. So, and that's not even, I don't know what happened down in the old new edition with the in-ground pool, if that's what they came to with that one. But, you know, the DeVores, that house right there, they just built that. And now they're telling them, you know, they're losing half their backyard. So, and I don't know how it'll affect, all those other lots along there are already, it's oldies, they're not sold, so they're not full. So, you know, there is a tree line behind the moors that there's a bunch of dead trees back there. And, you know, so why they can't push it back 10 yards that way or 20 yards that way and go through, you know, I don't know. And again, I'm just pointing it out that there's people that definitely have raised concerns about it, so it's my job to put that out there. So
I think part of the issue,
The easement right now is 50 foot. So the easement that's already there is there, and that's not gonna change. They're asking for 5 more feet on each side.
right.
And I'm presuming that you're still gonna be able to use your yard, what you need it for them to do their work. They just need that easement in case of something happens.
Yeah, well, but and you can, like, if you go, you can drive through our addition and you can see where the stake is, and it's
They've marked out the old easement or the new easement.
80% of their pool is, if it's even 80, it might be 90% of it is gone. So now this goes back to where they already were in the easement, and that's the old conversation, and that, you know, it was approved by the former administrator and the former zoning and all that, blah, 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 blah. So we've been down that road, so, and there's nothing, you know, I don't know what the end result everybody came to, but that's now, obviously, with them expanding it, it's even more. So, but it is, if you go look, it's damn near 10 yards off their back porch, so it's kind of crazy, but.
The AEP has contacted each individual?
Yeah, they told them to get bids for their pool, to move their pool. They could get like 3 bids and to move it. But
And AEP will move it?
yeah, but
Where?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like you already have a pie slice, and now
Yeah.
you're taking 70% of my pie. But so I can basically, like, he could roll out of his bedroom into the pool, you know, and that's
again, it just seems, in that case, I don't know how it affects everybody else down the line, because I didn't, but those are the people that I see every day, because I live in
Yeah.
there.
But, AEP has contacted each of those people.
Yeah,
so
they
they've
got- the
had
ones
their
I know, I
chance
know
to
they can-
ask their questions. And
Yeah, they've talked to them, and yeah, but I mean, again, I don't think they're giving them, they didn't call and go, hey, do you want to move your pool?
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yeah.
and
So
that,
they are,
again,
the AEP is making them move that pool,
yeah, yep.
because they're building in an easement that was existing.
Well, and even if they were even if they had built it on the line of the old easement, they would have to move it now because of the increase in the new easement. It's just more of their water instead of, you know, I don't know exactly where it came to, but say, I don't.
I mean, according to this, it's 5 more feet from where it was at.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know the width of the pool, like
I
you
mean,
know, that
that's-
kind of thing. But
This table.
yeah, so maybe,
I only saw that on one of the drawings.
The 50 by 60?
Yeah, 50,
And that's
and then
that
it showed-
first one that we was talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if the one on Woodland Drive is the same. I didn't see a dimension on.
They don't
where-
have an existing, they're just showing the 60 foot. They're not showing the 50.
It would all be the same.
It's an original. I
Yes.
mean, those power lines have been there as long as I can remember.
do you know anything about the in-ground pool? Or are they gonna have to move that?
Haven't heard anything on it.
Didn't hear, okay.
So does the village have a role to play in the property that's not, like our ordinance is only for the property that the village owns.
Exactly.
Right.
So we don't have anything in,
It's all private
That's all
property.
private.
yeah,
It's none of our concern.
ain't nothing we can really do about it.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I don't think there is anything we can do about it, but I just wanted to point out that,
Like Brian had said at the last meeting, it's either we take the money they're offering us now to give them the easement, or if we decline it, they just come in and take it with eminent domain and we don't get anything, and they'll still do it.
Like the solar panels, you might as well accept it, because they're gonna do what they
It's the
like.
future, you might as well get on board.
But AEP, I just want to make sure I understand it. Like the Moors, they told them to get quotes, and then AEP will be responsible to move it for them.
yeah, I
To
mean,
get
they would,
quotes.
yes.
So they're
they
going to
would.
work with the people.
Yeah, I mean, that, but it's, you know, again,
But
yes.
where are they moving it?
Right.
That's the question.
That's, yeah, that's the one for them, for sure.
Yeah.
They're concerned with that, but,
Okay.
and then again, like I said, there's others with the lots where, you know,
Yeah.
like sheds and different things,
Yeah.
and, you know, so, yeah, like I said, I'm just reporting what the village people
Yeah.
tell me,
Sure.
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I'd be ticked too if I were them.
Yeah.
I'd be
Well,
really
and
happy.
I mean, somebody was like, you know, like, are they going to pay the taxes on my land since I can't use it? Are they going to come mow it since I can't use it? And you know, I mean, I get that that's not no, and I know that we all
It's an
know the
easement.
answers to the questions. I mean, I know the answer to the question, but again, you know, if somebody was taking half my backyard or another 6 feet out of my 5 feet out of my backyard, I'd probably be asking the same questions. So,
Or ask
Yeah,
yourself,
I would like
why
to know
didn't I
what
do
it's
this
gonna be
before
used
I
for.
bought the lot?
well, yeah, and I mean,
Because do we need an environmental study?
It's my understanding that it's to produce more power.
That's a
North.
concern for
Yeah,
me,
that's what
is
we
having
talked
more
about
power
last-
over
last
our
meeting.
neighborhoods.
Yeah. That was my understanding.
Yeah, it was my understanding too, but being that they never communicated with us, and we couldn't ask questions, kind of bothers me.
I'm sorry.
it's the same lines you said. I mean, they're just changing poles.
Yeah, when they contacted me last
It's an
week,
upgrade.
they're gonna run
Yeah, I mean, I get the
poles
It's an
benefits and all
upgrade, I
that.
mean, it's
Wentworth.
there, they're just gonna make it better,
all the way
so
down and back
it's
down
modernization.
49 big steel poles.
It's-
Right,
it is the
it's the way
future.
of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
no,
the
I get
future.
it. Like I
I
said,
mean-
I'm not
There was nothing said about the big
disagreeing.
towers,
It's
like,
just,
you know.
Oh, I
and
absolutely
don't know.
understand what you're saying, I get it, but, you know, we're in a situation where it doesn't really affect the village on the 2 lots that we're talking about.
What's the time frame that we have to accept it, that they'll pay us, or they'll just take it?
I don't know, that's,
Okay.
I don't know that there's necessarily a time frame and stuff. I mean, they obviously want it expedited, and there'll come a time where they'll stop sending emails.
and I thought they told somebody they're not doing it till next year, but I could have
No, I
misunderstood.
think they're working on it this year.
This year, okay. That, I meant, like I said, I might have misheard that. Or,
Yeah,
I think so.
Because they told you they needed it immediately, that's why we put the emergency measure language.
I mean, all the corporations want stuff immediately, they wanna know now.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's 5 years out, they wanna know now so
Yeah.
they can start planning. but it's a major utility. It isn't like a corporation that's coming in here. This is a government, or not a government, but a major utility. So I don't have a problem with it, but it's up to you guys. I'm yes on no matter what. I just wanted to get off my plate and keep moving. We got better
Wanna
things
make
to
a
do.
motion to accept it then?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Anybody want to second?
I mean, there's literally nothing we can do. Correct.
No,
I know,
Can you
I
give it to
know.
them willingly or have them come take it by force? What do you
I'll
want to do?
second, I'll second
Take
it.
it by
I
force.
mean, the
Any
only-
further discussion?
We're not gonna
before
pay a
roll
legal
call?
battle. If they come in and say we're taking it, we're not gonna pay a legal battle to fight it.
The only option we have is to get another opinion, get a legal opinion from somebody else who's used to dealing with utilities.
No, I'm not a
or-
utilities expert by any
And I don't know what good that'll do, because it's utilities, and if they decide
Well,
to do
not-
it,
This
they're
is all
gonna do
just
it.
about granting
I'm saying
an
it's all about these
easement.
people.
This is just about giving them that supplemental easement in that easement area. This is just real estate at this point. So, I mean, if you guys have other concerns beyond what this is, that's something different. This is just giving them those easements. And they already have the one easement. It's just, as Dean pointed out, 5 and 5 on each side, and then that other easement on the last. They already have the one easement. They got it back in 1937.
It's kind of more of a formality than anything. They're gonna take it regardless.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what they wanna do.
Right.
Okay, so right now we do have a first and
Well,
a
Yeah,
but
first
second.
and a second.
any further discussion before roll call?
Not for me.
Alright. Gene Rice,
second it.
Yes.
Brian Smith,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Nope.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
and Kenny Reinhardt.
Yes.
The next reading is an emergency reading for waterfowl exhibit, ordinance 2023-10. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the village of Antwerp, Ohio to enter into a loan and display preservation agreement with John Paulding Historical Society Incorporated for waterfowl exhibit and declaring the same an emergency.
And before you all
Yeah.
start voting on this, that exhibit A cannot be found. That's like the inventory of this exhibit. So I think it's okay to approve this tonight, but I would recommend that the inventory be done and an exhibit A be attached to this before it's given to the John Paulding Historical Society to approve, because they need to know, we need to know what we are loaning to them.
This is the legal document that Mrs. Feasy was in possession of that she handed to me. You guys you're more than welcome to look over this. There's no exhibit of an inventory. And she had told me that Mark had asked for a list, and to no avail, he never got anything for it. And she said he asked more than once.
I pulled the same with the ordinance attached,
Yeah,
and there's no exhibit.
Nobody ever did an inventory. So
so I think that should be done.
the best time to do that would be while they're moving it.
Yes, so within that, somebody just needs to type it up, mark it as exhibit A, and then it gets attached to the official agreement. And if you look in paragraph 5, that report that was done back in 2005, that's when they first went in to the police department where this was all stored and did that. We do provide that to anybody we loan anything to. There's certain other items that were loaned to the VFW. That report is always given, and we did find that. So that should be given to the John Paulding Historical Society as well. It's not an exhibit, but I did want to point that out. That just talks about, again, the issues, especially if anything is ruffled on these waterfowl, it could create those irritants. So that report should be given, but those are my comments before you all start looking at discussing this. And then I assume we did it based on emergency basis, because it sounds like things are ready to start rolling and getting that moved.
They're going to vote on it tomorrow, I think, at their meeting. They are, I believe they'll approve it because they were all in favor of getting it, because they don't have an Otto Earhart collection, and they thought that this would be a great improvement to their current museum, considering that Otto Earhart is kind of mostly from Antwerp. He wasn't born here, but I think they are glad to get something, so. I don't think it's gonna cost the village anything other than just time, manpower, and your time writing up the agreement again.
Yeah, and it didn't take long because I did a hybrid of what we had done with Mark and what we did with VFW.
But
This
no
is a
actual
little
expenditures
different.
going out.
Yeah,
This is a waterfowl exhibit.
and then we do keep we are responsible for insuring this exhibit. So,
Even down there.
because we own it. We are not giving up ownership. They are just going to
Good.
preserve and
And that's-
I thought
display
it
it.
said in the agreement here that they were responsible for having insurance.
No,
No, we're the
Oh.
owners.
Okay,
they're responsible
If
for
you look at
reporting
paragraph 3, the
reporting
village
damage.
agrees to insure.
okay, okay.
So, yeah. And then we do have in there for for whatever reason, if they become inactive or they don't have those facilities suitable to display it anymore, then it would come back to the village, so.
At one point, we had talked about moving the other displays that are at the depot. Is that in on all of this?
This is just the
This
waterfowl.
is
Just the one at
Waterfowl.
Sue's house.
It's just
Mrs.
with these
Speedy,
fees.
yes.
I believe Brian said that those are not part of the Earhart collection.
Out at the depot,
I could be wrong, but I think that's what was
Okay.
mentioned.
but all this pertains to.
I actually don't know.
Yeah,
These fees.
most of them are.
I think
Oh,
most
okay.
of it
Yeah.
I was gonna
was.
say, I don't know where else they pay.
All the animals are, I know.
In the pictures and, yeah.
It'd be nice to add it to this.
Well, just make it part of that exhibit A, put it on the
Yeah,
inventory.
on the inventory.
Yeah.
Take Woodsy the Eagle out.
So what do we need here now then?
I
Need a
think we
motion
have
to
this.
Motion
suspend.
to suspend for
I'll make a motion.
So Mel,
Steve,
you're
go
wanting
ahead.
us to wait until we have an inventory or not?
We just need to
I
include
think
it.
that'll just need to be attached to the agreement before this is provided to the John Plumbing Historical Society to sign. I think
And we
you
keep a
approve
copy
the
of
mayor
it, too.
signing it, and it needs to be kept with this and the ordinance book, why that was not done before.
So that way we don't have this dilemma again. And I think they're probably just gonna inventory as they move. You know, we got one of these. When they get all done, it'll say this is what was here, this is what it is now, since there was
Want
no
some help doing that
record of it
inventory?
before.
Okay, do we have
Work
a
with
Steve,
Brian.
Steve made a motion to
Okay.
suspend, and I believe Brian Smith was making a second to that
I
motion.
second that.
second?
Okay,
Okay.
so. Oops. Alright, so we'll start with Steve
Yes.
and Brian,
Yes.
then I'll go Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Dean Reister.
Yes,
Okay.
make a motion to pass.
I'll second.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Jason.
Jason Franks.
Any further discussion before roll call?
One thing I just want to add, if we ever decide to move things like out of the depot or some other displays, some of those are federally protected species, like the bald eagles, and we can't move them, and they can't be on display anywhere else, and if we try to, we'll lose them. The feds will confiscate them. Levi, our wildlife officer will come in and confiscate those.
Will you come out to the depot and look at what can be moved?
Sure, mainly the bald eagle. What can be moved, yeah, I'll be out.
And then we could start creating a list, I can tell you it's a bird.
But there are more,
That's-
that's not the only bald eagle, there are several bald eagles that were in that collection. There are several owls that can't be moved that were in that collection, and some species of hawks, so we have to look.
So wouldn't they just have to stay with the
No,
exhibit?
they can't be on display. Nope, they are.
So anything she has or he
they're
has
protected.
would not pertain to this conversation.
Except that stuff was not really on display, they were just preserving it. It was just a loan and preserve agreement with them, they did not display it.
And those laws have changed. There used to be that when those, some of those species could be on display, but they had to be on display for public viewing in a public place. They couldn't be in a private collection. Otto had a permit to do that and to keep them. He had a permit for Alaskan Kuru, bald eagle, and the whooping crane. But those laws have changed, and we need to check on that. I can get with Levi and have him update those. It's been a while since I've updated them, or I've seen them updated, but we'll do that.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? We're ready for roll call.
Let's see, Brian Smith,
Nope,
Oh.
actually it was Dean Rice.
Oh, Dean, I'm sorry, I put that on
You're
the line there.
fine.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and then the second was Jason, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
The next one is a first reading of ordinance 2023-11, an ordinance authorizing the village fiscal officer to reside outside of the village of Antwerp. Discussion.
Just go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. Next is the emergency reading motion to pass. Ordinance 2023-12 Railroad Street project bids. An ordinance authorizing expenditure and directing the advertisement to solicit bids for the village of Antwerp, Ohio for work associated with Railroad Street project and declaring the same an emergency.
What exactly is going on with the Railroad Street?
We'll be replacing a 2-inch water line. All of the sidewalks will be grinding the street down and resurfacing it. It'll be completely redone.
Which ordinance was that?
That's the
23-12.
2023-12. So we have, we've been
I got stuck
notified,
on the bottom level.
we've been notified by the Holy County Commissioners that the CDBG funding through them has been released. So we're ready to complete this ordinance so I can go to bid and get it done.
And that's why we do this one as an emergency, because we want to get it done this summer?
Right, we have to get it out, get it bid.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the contractors are telling me that I'm not even sure we're gonna be able to get it done in time. So,
Motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second that.
So Smith and Steiner. Any other discussion before we take roll call? Any motion to suspend? If not, Brian Smith,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Dean Reister.
Yes.
need a motion to approve?
Yes.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
And Steve, you were the second?
Yes.
Alright, motion to approve, Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
There's a correction on the agenda. I had that as the third reading, but it's the second reading of Resolution 2023-02, replacement for the, let's see here. Resolution of necessity to levy a tax that is a replacement of an existing levy in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of providing and maintaining motor vehicles, communications, and other equipment used directly in the operation of the police department and the payment of salaries of permanent police personnel. Let's move on after that, correct?
Yep.
All right.
That was that. 2020.
Emergency reading of Resolution 2023-04. It's a resolution to accept the material terms of the settlement with the Teva, Allergen, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart distributors pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the settlement agreement and declaring the same an emergency.
This was a first reading at the last minute meeting. I think it was just some confusion that's maybe had been approved, so Brian went ahead and did the documents online.
Yeah, they're done. Unfortunately, they're a
I
little
think
bit
we
before the
told you
resolution.
all, I think we told you all at the last meeting, we may come back and ask for it to be done as an emergency because it was like the day after the third reading, those had to be done, and we were a little nervous about that to make sure they were accepted and everything on time. So now that it's been done, we just thought we'd accelerate it to an emergency, and so that way it's all approved and correct. This is just, it's not gonna probably be very much money, I don't even know whether the
I don't even
village's
know that
going
we'll
to
get
get
any
any,
money.
we might not get anything.
What fund did we put this towards then?
It's gotta be used for like specific purposes.
Like
it's
can
gotta-
Treatment. things
To our
like that.
EMS, who
No.
gives Narcan all the time?
No.
Okay.
Or
I
like,
don't think
or like
we'll,
if anybody through mayor's court was charged with something like, almost like, sending them to some kind of program for like opioid treatment.
probably-
It's very specific.
As
what
you
you
say,
need. We may not
if
even
we
get
get it, we
anything.
probably would never be able to spend.
No, we'd probably put it in like, it'd probably just be like our indigent driver fund.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We'll
yes,
worry about that
we
when
ju-
we get it, right?
yeah. So on this, we'll need a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll make a
please.
motion to
I'll,
suspend.
I'll second that.
Kenny, just a second. Yes, sir. Roll call, Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan.
Yeah.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jason? All right, Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yeah.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith? Yes. Okay. And the last one that I have is an emergency reading, resolution 2023-05, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a capital improvement community park recreation conservation project pass-through grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to accept an award of grant funds for the Holly Kobe Memorial Splash Pad project and declaring the same an emergency.
This is just a finalization of some documents that have to be signed and sent to the state for the conclusion and completion of the grant agreement.
And then we'll get reimbursed for it.
As we go through the process, yes, we will be reimbursed.
Is this different than the one, didn't we approve one last month?
No,
No? We just discussed this one? We had something that was along this line.
we were
It
talking
was,
about.
it was the, I gotta think
Transferring the
back.
project over to us.
Transferring the
Yes.
property.
It was an ordinance, it wasn't a resolution.
For us to sponsor.
Okay.
Yes. So this is just the resolution that allows us to accept the grant funds and enter into the grant agreement.
So what do we need? What do
A
we-
motion to suspend the rules.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. I'll second that.
So Kenny made the motion.
Yes.
And Steve seconded.
Steve Jordan. All right, roll call, Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yeah.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
Brian Smith. Yes. Any motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Steve Jordan, second. All right. Roll call, Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Dean Reister,
Yes.
and Brian Smith. Yeah. Next on the agenda, I guess, is the reader report. If anybody has questions, I'll do my best to answer that.
Looks like we're doing a little better than we did last year, right out the gate.
Yep.
Any questions on the report? Not, I'll just begin mine. You should find in your packets a letter from the Antwerp schools from Mr. Miller requesting authorization to place a 6-foot wide sidewalk along Archer Drive, and that's the blacktop driveway that runs east and west off the side of the west side of the school where the buses come in off the water plant and go in. They want to put a 6-foot sidewalk with lighting. That is village property, and that's why they're asking for permission. And then they have also included an MOU for our review and consent. So if this is something that we're interested in doing, and I would assume we'll put it on next month's agenda.
Is this connecting to another sidewalk?
No,
Football field to the school.
The football field, okay.
yeah.
Okay, so it's not the one, it's not run along Victory Lane at all?
I
Only
don't know where
Archer
Victory
Drive,
Lane is.
No, it's the other side.
the other side.
It runs between the football field and the
Vic-
school, across that lot.
Victory Lane's the long one on the long side of the track, right? That's the one that tees towards the school, to the bus drive.
I'm
That's
not sure if
Victory
it's got a
Lane.
lane, or a name.
Victory
I
Lane
think so.
Victory Lane goes off to the east.
Oh, it's the one that goes
That's where
past the water.
the chassis out there.
Oh,
Right,
right,
Victory
right.
Lane.
I'm mixed up. You're right. Okay.
Do you,
FSC.
Do you want me to
Yeah,
present this
Old
next month?
111, or
I'm
Cement Plant
fine
Road,
with-
what we always call it.
fine with that, especially if they'll do the other sidewalks in town too.
Is there an issue with liability insurance with them doing this and having a sidewalk if somebody was to twist their ankle on the sidewalk?
No different than if they did it walking in the grass.
Right now, they are.
I mean, we have the policy that whoever the owner is that abuts the sidewalk is responsible for maintaining it. I assume, is this gonna be abutting the school property?
No,
Well,
Antwerp owns the whole thing.
We own
both
the
They
whole
will
north
still
and
be
south.
responsible for maintaining it and clearing it.
No,
so-
in the, well, in this, it states that they will maintain and care for it.
Okay, there you
So
go.
we don't have to do anything other than give permission.
So it's in there.
You know, I like it.
Well, I mean, it's for safety purposes,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
okay?
Do we
What
need
is
to make
the-
a resolution or?
No, we'll
We'll do
present
an
it next month.
ordinance. I'll
Okay.
do an ordinance to approve the mayor signing the MOU. And do we need to do it as an emergency, or is this one for 3 readings?
I'd need to check with,
Okay.
I don't know when they were anticipating doing it.
Let's don't do an emergency unless we have to.
So I won't prepare it as an emergency unless I hear differently.
Okay.
I imagine they would want to do it in the summer.
Well,
I don't know,
The school is also working on that new building on the other side of the softball and baseball fields.
well, that's gonna be a discussion for another day because they,
Oh,
you talking about where the stone parking lot is
Yes,
currently?
I
Yeah,
am.
that's village property. They just were made aware of that.
oh, well, I was just made aware of it. They always told me they owned it,
I
so.
told them, I said, amazing how the land value has increased dramatically. Okay, so the generator grant we received, as we said before, right now we are getting engineering, and then the engineer will apply for the appropriate state permits so that we can go to bid on that. I had mentioned to you folks regarding Water Plant Drive, Mr. Bragan made a request to expand his driveway off of Water Plant. Last I knew, Mel had made contact with his attorney and they were to provide some
They
information.
never got back to me.
Mhm.
But now we have an extremely wide driveway,
Yes.
and that's on village property.
So typically, if somebody encroaches on village property, either give them notice to return it to its condition that it was before what they did, whatever they did, or the village will do it and send them a bill for putting it back into the original condition.
What's your thought?
My thought is that it's never a good policy to give up things if you don't have to. I think that this was handled poorly, and I don't really even understand it.
Well, you know, I kept asking you, have you heard anything?
I reached out when you guys gave me authority, and I talked to his attorney. He said he would talk to his client, get back to me. I didn't hear anything.
Would you draft a letter to send to him?
Why can't I communicate with him directly, because he does have an attorney? So you can contact him directly, but I can't, because that's an ethical violation for an attorney to contact somebody who's represented by counsel.
Would you send me a template without your name on it?
I would just reach out to him by phone first and tell him this has been discovered, you need to return it, and see what his response is, I think, before you get,
Okay.
that's my,
Or,
I mean, that's
or
up to
have his
counsel.
attorney contact you,
Or have
like
his attorney
they were
contact
supposed
me
to.
like they were supposed to.
Okay.
And you would always follow up then with a letter, but I would just contact you first.
Okay. The next thing on my agenda is I got quotes for replacement of the cameras for the park, which also include the splash pad and the sewer plant. The sewer plant, in its quote, will have several cameras, but one of them will actually read the license plates on every vehicle entering the area.
On which one?
The one at the sewer plant.
Okay.
I don't know, we've talked back and forth about cameras and the pricing and the availability and stuff. I think this pricing is actually probably, from what I've seen, fairly good. I just don't know if you want to expend the funds or not. That's up to you guys.
It doesn't look like a bad price to me if we're having it that far, different sections. Size of the hard drive might be small for that many cameras, but you said it can read the license plates.
The one
Does
at
it
the sewer
record?
plant. Yes.
Like in a database that somebody could say on this date, this license plate came through and you don't have to go back through and find all the video? It'll like
Well, you'd have-
automatically record them?
I don't know
Yeah.
to the extent of how it records to a hard drive.
Okay.
I don't
okay.
know that it actually gives you any kind of a printout that tells you
It'd be
this
kinda
is a
nice.
license. Well, it'd be great, but I don't know that you can get one that prints out for this kind of price,
Yeah.
that list of license plates that it's scanned within a 24-hour period of time.
Could we also do one that runs the stoplight here? And, sorry. Okay.
You just put up some cones.
So is this the ones for the park and the ones for the water
Yes.
plant? Okay.
How much?
Oh, it's two separate estimates. Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that was
what
one.
I-
Thank you
yeah.
for pointing that out.
No, that's
two-
what-
I thought
two
that was
separate.
one.
How much
Okay.
area of the park does this cover?
So,
Well, just be
how does that work? Is that on a motion detector that turns the camera on?
Yes, for the license plate. Well, no, I think it's on all the time.
It's on all the time?
Yeah, I think it's
But it automatically erases after so many days
Okay.
and stuff. So it'll cover the playground equipment, it'll cover the splash pad, the what?
The bathrooms.
The bathrooms, that kind of section of the
The
park.
gray area there.
Mhm.
Would it be possible that as we do the splash pad, if there's any extra funds, could those be allotted towards the security of the splash pad?
The cost for the splash pad portion has been taken care of. So that's not even part of our cost.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they want to do that.
Did George look at this?
Yeah, George and I talked about it.
Okay. He liked it then?
Mhm.
All right.
And where would that come into? His
No, it'll come in out of the restrooms just like it does today, but we'll have an app, and if you have a password, you'll be able to go on and view the cameras.
Okay. I see.
So we can all get, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think we need one out at the water plant. I think we also need it out here at the restrooms too.
I don't
You got an
disagree.
extra
Well,
camera,
and if
put
they're-
it at my place too.
With the improvements they're looking to do to the park and then with the splash pad, and I mean, it's only gonna, in theory, our goal is to make it grow and get bigger and better, so, I mean, it kinda makes sense to,
Well, and when we do that, I
Protect the
think we need to
investment.
make sure there's signs up that says you're being recorded.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yep, I agree with that.
That'll stop a lot. before it starts.
So this covers the area where the shrubs, the brush and all that stuff is out there at water plant.
Oh.
Yes, yes,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
the organic matter.
Compost
Yeah.
pile.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to do this compost pile and
Yeah, I was trying to think of
recycle.
the right word, but
Yep.
Yeah, so that way if
So I
anybody's
assume one of
taking
those cameras will cover the
stuff, we
vegetable
can go after them
Yes.
like they're picking up
Backside
logs
of
or
it and stuff.
anything.
Because it'll shoot onto it.
And get the ones that are dumping that's not supposed to be.
yeah, that's
I
the
know.
a big one.
Okay, well, I'll move forward with that.
Okay.
Next thing is water meters. I sent out letters notifying our large users that we are replacing water meters because they provide us better data. They're drive-by reads, and there's just, they retain history. We have more accurate billing. And several of them called me back and questioned as to why they were being charged for the water meters. We have an ordinance in place that does state anything over 3/4 of an inch is the responsibility of the property owner. My recommendation is that you're basically paying for water meters for everybody in this community except your 8 or 9 largest customers. My recommendation is that you pay the bill. I mean, you know, and rightfully so. The meters they have are not defective. It just, you can't read them electronically. So,
And I did have somebody come to me about one of the meters too, and I think it was gonna be about a $3,000 charge for his. And he basically said,
he'd probably shut down the business before he paid the $3,000 because he doesn't make enough money off the business to be able to fund paying $3,000. So then we're shutting down small businesses in the village, which is obviously absolutely the opposite of what we want to do. So I realize with the big guys, I mean, it's probably just a penny off the shelf, but like for some of these smaller businesses that are affected by it, it would definitely be a hit. So
You said there was, you think 8 businesses that have these
I
larger meters?
didn't include the schools, and the reason I didn't include the school is that, I mean, schools are funded by taxpayer revenue. And I think to use taxpayer money to pay for the water meters for organizations funded by taxpayers probably is, you know, double taxation, so to speak. So I didn't include them, but I included everyone else, and the cost to do the whole project is about $26,000.
For those 8, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the meters they've got now except for the fact that we can't digitally read them.
That is correct.
So what would be the harm in just leaving them as they are now and just continue to read those 8 meters by hand until something goes wrong and then at that point upgrade them?
There would be no harm.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then we can kind of address each individually, be like, you know, maybe by then we can, we're saying right now we charge $750 per tap now, or we don't charge anything for tap now?
We charge $750 for a tap.
So at that point, we can at least give them that credit at that point.
Well, a tap is only when you do it new.
New.
If you have an existing, there is no tap fee.
But
That's
it'd
all this
kinda be-
applies to, is when there's a new, that's
New
what this
tap.
is, yeah.
But you're saying that but you're wanting to replace, so
What I'm saying is that if we're going to replace them, my opinion is that the village should pay for it.
either that or just leave them be and just continue to read those 8 meters by hand
We
until
can-
they go bad or until
I
there's
mean,
an
we can
issue.
do that. They just have to pull up and type in the number.
I mean,
what's
I
on
don't
the meter.
think they're gonna have so much alleviated by doing all the other ones digitally. I'm sure they can find time to continue to read those meters if there's nothing wrong with them. And that way we're not trying to impose a cost on
We
the
don't wanna
village
run
or the
business out, we don't wanna discourage
business
business.
without just cause, except for the fact we're making it more convenient for us to read.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Dean.
Yeah, good
Do it
idea.
that way.
To be administrator.
I'm shifting back to you.
Passing the torch. Okay, I'll notify those businesses that we are going to forego at this time.
Now, do we also want to let them know that when it does need replaced, though, at that point,
Yep, I'll put
they
it
can
in.
take care of it, but we don't,
Well,
why
that-
make them pay for it when it's not broke?
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll address it when it comes to it on, I guess, when we get there, we'll see how the village is doing with funds and stuff like that. And if it seems reasonable for us to go ahead and forego the cost, maybe the cost will come down with newer technology. It could be cheaper by then. I mean, not actual monetarily cheaper, but by percentage compared to nowadays.
Well, if we pay for it instead of doing 26,000 now, if it's 3,000 a year and 3,000 another
10
year,
years
whatever,
or-
it spreads it out over that time too. So
Yeah.
I guess we can cross that bridge when we get to it.
That's
but
kind of how I feel about it.
And then all new taps would have to be,
we'll still
We're
follow
gonna,
that.
so those
we're gonna
will
fund the
just
new
grant,
ones.
those 8 or whatever there is, just grandfather in and then.
For those, but I'm thinking if we have new businesses, then that will be probably imposed on the new tax. Is that kind of how we're addressing that?
Yeah, I mean, new
they will
businesses,
have to
just
have a
like
new
the
one.
Family Dollar, I mean, they're paying for their meter.
Their new, modern,
Mhm.
so as we move forward, they'll have to include that in their
Yep.
budget, but we wouldn't have to affect the small businesses or the large small businesses that we have that need a different water tap at this time.
Any other questions for me?
No, I think that's a good idea, Dave.
It's a great idea, just kind of freaks me out that you can.
I like the camera idea. Pretty good.
That was the mayor's forceful suggestion. I'm giving you credit for the camera.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
The splash, you don't have any.
I think that it actually was, just a run-on from
The last, okay.
Yeah,
There was just.
We passed the
we
resolution.
passed the resolution, so, and we talked about railroad.
I just didn't want to take away your time.
That's I'm good, thank you very much.
So what are these here, potholes?
Yeah, I'll get on
Committee report?
Yeah, the safety committee, Dean and Jason and I had a meeting in regards to sidewalk on Erie Street. If we felt they should be on both sides of the street or not, and it was determined that we thought one side would be enough. We match up the existing sidewalk now at the doctor's office and it goes south of that, so.
Very good.
So, how are we going to fund this?
Well,
I mean, because
we've discussed that, there's been several, I'm not sure we've decided yet, there's been several
Okay.
avenues of thought there. One was assess each property owner. Another was, as we discussed the other day, if in fact the school needs to purchase some property for that building, put that toward the sidewalk. Do we even know yet what the cost is gonna be for we can assess it? I mean, I know we were dealing with Nick Longardner, but,
yeah, my guess is the cost is gonna come in around 47 to 48,000.
About 50,000 or so.
It'll be below 50.
yeah, but I don't know for sure that we've actually decided on what we're gonna do or even when we're gonna do it.
Is that a committee's responsibility or is that our
No, it's
responsibility?
our responsibility.
Yeah,
One of the things.
We can
that-
discuss it now and make a decision if you guys
Well,
want.
one of the things that Steve did mention, that I failed to mention, because I mean, it really isn't on the agenda, but the school wants to put a building up. And Bryce had mentioned, it's over by the baseball field or whatever and stuff. They have a large stone parking lot there. That's all our property. So I'm meeting with Dr. Miller in the morning and Curtis and I, and we're gonna sit down, we're gonna look at a map and try to determine what it is they want and what they wanna do. And then we'll come back to council and say, this is our recommendation based on several parameters. One is that we have a well field, we have to have minimum distance around the wells that have to be clear of obstructions, but there is some land that we have there that would probably benefit the school far more than it benefits us. It's not something, a new well today, I checked, because there's a well that I like to abandon and put a new well in, but a new well is coming in at about $1.5 million. So I don't, unless we really need to have a well, I don't think we're gonna be putting one in anytime in the near future. Hicksville's 2 wells are $1.4 million, $1.5 million apiece. So they're rather expensive. But anyways, I'm gonna meet with Mr. Miller and Curtis tomorrow. We're gonna take a look at specifically where they wanna put the building at, but how it, plays in with our current wells and distances and things like that.
You have no idea how big or a building you saw.
Sounds like it's gonna take the, kind of most of that stone parking lot, so it's,
Oh, really?
yeah, I mean, it'd be a pretty good sized building.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big building.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So to the point, obviously we wouldn't donate the land, we'd sell the land. And you're right, council could take and utilize whatever amount that is and apply it towards the sidewalk, because at the end of the day, it benefits the community and it benefits the school. So,
Can we give the land away? What can we do?
You can do a land swap with the school, that's what we did when the school was here, and we owned the land out there.
Okay.
That's how you can get away from the competitive bidding, otherwise you have to put it up for competitive
Okay.
bidding.
well, you
Try to
can
sell
actually
real estate,
turn around and sell it to the CIC, and CIC can turn around and sell it to the school.
which is
Yeah.
a totally different process, and, yeah, you
Here's,
do that, but typically you can't just sell
Yeah.
land.
I did not realize how much the village of Antwerp owned there.
A lot.
All that.
It's all of it.
Mhm.
From the field house over to the road.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
This
we
is
own,
where they
we
wanna
own
put
everything
the
there. It's just a
Well,
ways
right-
divided in the lots.
Yeah, the sidewalk, I think they wanna put it along there, but yeah.
when do they? want to
Sidewalks
start?
going up there.
Right up here.
Well, I think that's
Along
next
this
year.
whole-
No,
Right
move
here.
that
Move that
spot,
one thing.
right there.
Here, okay, and then it stops there?
If you wanna go from there to the ball field, or the football field to the schools.
Okay, I thought they said something about South Erie in there.
Well, we're talking about South Erie doing sidewalks out to Maumee
Right,
Landing.
right.
But the school just
Okay.
wants to do that stretch on
Not to
that road.
connect all the way to there for their students. Okay, I thought I read that in Marty's letter.
Because we were talking about a bunch
Okay.
of different stuff.
We can look into that again, but as far as I know, it's just that across our lot in the middle.
Okay, I just if you guys wanted to see if that's what we're
Talking
talking
about
about.
sidewalk is, it
This
just, it follows along that.
He just wants to get to the road,
This
to Water Plant Drive.
is the
That's
village.
it. They ain't going around.
which
the
I didn't
football
realize
field
that. So
or
the whole
No.
parking
You
area
have that meeting tomorrow morning?
is where the whole football place. I didn't realize that whole big field was the village.
Well, it's kind of our well field and stuff.
Yeah.
So our wells and things are in there.
Oh. So no toxic stuff can spill there.
Well, in theory, no.
We prefer that it's going more.
Okay.
Okay.
So with the committee report, we had just said that we don't determine it only need to go up one side. He needs to know what we want to do as far as moving forward, whether we want to fund the whole thing ourselves, fund part of it, or if we just want to have it on the landowners to do it and make an ordinance or
Well, the next
to-
step is to require, the council is to cause plan specifications and cost estimates of such construction to be filed in the office of the fiscal officer.
that's what we
the
need
first
to-
step. And then after that is done, then you can do the resolution of necessity, but you have to do that first step first.
So
There's
he's wanting our
probably-
approval to do that filing. All right, is that where
I would
we're
do a
at? Because
motion.
we did
Oh,
the assessment.
Wait a second, I have all the engineering done on the sidewalk, and
You just
I'm
need to
pretty
do a
certain.
motion to cause the plan specifications and cost estimates to be placed on file with the fiscal officer.
You want to say that one more time? With my voice? Then I'll make a
You make a
motion that we do what
motion,
she
File
just
the
said.
plans.
you make the motion to cause the plan specifications and cost estimates of the sidewalk construction on South Erie Street to be filed in the office of the fiscal officer.
I will make that motion.
Amen.
Is that a second?
Yes.
And I will make sure you get
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Dean and
that.
Bryce. Dean and Bryce.
Yeah.
Do the roll call.
All right.
Do we need to say something about accepting the committee's recommendation for the ones, the east side of the street?
You can, I would do that as a separate motion. I think
Okay.
I would do this first
This is
motion
for
that's
the
already
cost
on the
estimate?
table.
But
Yeah,
they're just repeating what they discussed at their meeting.
It's just a committee report. We just gave the report. Now we're making a motion to move forward with something else.
this is
All right.
how you start the process. under
Okay,
the statute.
so roll call, Dean Reister,
Yes.
Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
Steve Jordan.
Yeah.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.
And then you want me to have the resolution for a first reading at the next meeting?
If that works with his schedule, he's got everything that he needs, or you got everything
Yeah.
you need.
Well, I would just need you guys to tell me you were ready to move forward.
And we're ready to,
I mean, you don't have any issue getting things on file with the fiscal officer before the next meeting?
I'll have it
Sounded
down
like,
here in
yeah,
just a minute.
yeah, that's what I figured,
Yeah,
so.
I'm setting on the plans.
So I'll have a resolution for first reading at the next meeting.
and we don't have to do it as an emergency. We can just do it.
Have the
It's up to you
committees,
guys, I haven't heard an emergency basis, this is something you guys have been talking about for a long time, so I
Yeah.
assume it's not, but.
It's not, we can just keep moving forward. We've got plenty of time this year.
and what about like Harmon and the one that goes to the park, from the school?
We prioritized South Erie in that committee meeting.
Yeah, we really did discuss.
There was some discussion
Probably another-
about funding, I think, for Harmon Road again. When you looking into something about that again?
Yes.
And so
it
where will
takes
they
at
start
least
and where
9
do
months.
they end, so I can put that?
The sidewalk on Erie. It'll be from Water Plant Drive to Dollar General parking lot. We actually probably ought to take it to the church.
I think there's a sidewalk already going there.
Is there, is it
Yeah.
up to the
I think
church?
there's one. in
Once you
front.
get to the property line at Dollar General, there is a sidewalk.
And you said on the east side, right?
It
Yes,
stops before it gets to the church.
And then I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you
Stops
will have
there.
already given us
Yeah,
all the
Dollar
lot
General.
numbers.
Stops
right,
at where we
Brian?
was talking about and
Yes.
access to that.
To the edge of the south edge of Dollar
Dollar
General's
General.
parking lot is where it ends.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the church would have to finish it if they wanted to. Okay.
Okay, where we at?
Because there's still talk about an access right there to that property. There was just some issues with
That's
it being
right.
so close to the bypass that they can't put it in. There was a state deal, I think, that said that the footage wasn't enough.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how we'd ever get around that. File a variance, for the state.
Yeah, there's several issues
We're
there.
also gonna need to determine if we're going to move that fire extinguisher, or the fire hydrant, a couple doors down from where the sidewalk starts, because that's gonna be,
I'd leave that up to talk to Bobby about that,
Yeah.
Bobby Addis, and see what he thinks.
I think it should be.
Or whoever gets the bid.
Yeah.
Chief of Fire Department.
It would be a lot
Oh,
more.
that's the chief?
Yeah, Bobby has.
Chief, Fire chief.
Bobby, the guy that gave me the quote on the
No,
sidewalk.
Yeah.
no, Chief,
You're talking about Bobby Bragg?
Yeah,
Bobby
Bobby
Bragg.
Addis is the fire chief.
Sorry.
Okay, that's our committee report.
We need to talk about how we're gonna fund that, or
I'm not sure we can yet,
we're not.
but if we can, I'd be glad to.
We gotta see what Brian figures out.
Get you the cost estimate out first.
Yeah, probably gotta get the exact cost on the thing before you start worrying about funding.
Well, he has it.
Before we can discuss funding, you have to have the cost estimate.
But-
on
So
It's
the
not officially
resolution
filed, I
of
don't think.
necessity though, will need to say how it's gonna be funded, so are we not ready for that first reading? Doesn't
Well,
sound like
I mean,
it.
if we wanna discuss, I'm ready to,
I think the owners are gonna pay for it.
I agree. Cause it's a convenient way to just spread it over the property taxes and
I
increase
have
the
one thing
value
to
of
say
that
about
side of the
that.
street.
$8,000 is a lot of money
Mhm.
for any individual.
I agree.
That's a lot of money.
Are we doing it where the village would do it and then they would have to pay for it, or are we telling them they can do it, like if they
Yeah,
need
they
it done?
can- that
Okay,
was
so
gonna
we're
be
gonna
the
go
option.
under
They can-
chapter 729.
They
But
can
I
do
don't
it,
think-
they just need to
I
meet
don't
the
think-
Yeah,
specifications.
okay. I
Meet
just
the
wanna make sure I have to go
specifications
under
by
the
a
right
certain
statute.
deadline, or the village completes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's all in
I-
all their ordinance with how that goes.
How much of a time window does that involve? I mean, somebody say, yeah, I'm gonna get to it in 10 years.
You're right, that needs to be
Yeah.
put in play.
Well, I believe when I went down and asked for an
So-
extension on mine, when they made me put mine in for $3,000 12 years ago, which was a lot of money then, that, I think they gave me 30 days.
So we have to put in the resolution of necessity, the time within which they have to get them constructed.
I'd say
And it can't be
within,
less than 30 days from the date of you serving the
I'd
notice. They
say
don't
it
get
would be
notice.
within 30 days of the completion of the project by the contractor. I mean, if the contractor can say they can be done by August 31st, then I would think they'd have 30 days after that to get it done. So we
I
wouldn't
would-
really know
But
until.
you're just telling them the time, if they wanna do it themselves, they hire their own contractor. That has
Absolutely.
nothing to do with us. So we have to tell them when they get notice, okay, you're receipt of this notice. Now you have so many days from the receipt of this notice. I don't think we can make it contingent on when they get whatever. I think it's gotta be a number of days or months or whatever you wanna
So
do.
we
And
could
it
say-
can't be less though than 30 days.
So we could say like 180 days from the time of this
Right.
resolution being passed.
It just can't be less than 30 days, so
You gonna try to work
yes.
something in at the school, the sidewalks?
And it's not for when the motions pass, it's when they get
Well,
notice.
When they get notice,
Talk.
okay.
We have to determine whether or not the village wants to sell land.
Right.
But this is all your decision, it's not mine.
I'm gonna maintain that $7,000, $8,000 is an awful lot of money.
Though you have to think this will increase the value of their
Yeah,
property, and when they sell it, that will be their money back.
Yeah, I know, but that is a lot of money, is that right, Steve?
Yeah, I would agree, that'd be a lot,
That's a lot
that's
of
on
money.
a saddle.
It
And
is.
I know it might increase the property, but maybe they don't ever have any intention of selling the property.
That's right.
Either way, it increases the value of their property, and
Well,
I had to pay for it.
But you just put in a couple sections.
I put in the whole thing,
You know, you-
from one side to the other. You can go look at it.
I did.
It's relatively new,
I did.
relatively 12 years.
But
But
I
The
just,
way we was talking about it though is if they can't afford to pay it right up front, we was gonna assess it to the taxes, which we could spread out, I believe, over, we was talking 3 years, which would make that 6 payments.
or 5 years.
Yeah.
but
We
but
definitely
I don't know
do that.
about you guys. but
Right. 5 years.
And we can only do that if they don't put them in themselves, if we come in and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but back when I was working, I would get some money back from my income tax. My wife and I'd say, what are we gonna buy, you know? Now these people's gonna owe, instead of getting money back, they're gonna owe if you put it on their taxes. I still maintain that $7,000-8,000 is a lot of money.
I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Yeah.
Part of it, Kenny. It's just like I had to pay for my sidewalk. I don't know. I mean, that's where they're at. I mean, he had to pay for his, he had to pay for his, and so
Yeah, but
I'm-
not 200 and some feet.
yeah. Well, and I don't know the footage on that, but you're right. I mean, I know it's different, and it's a lot of money.
If
I don't
I-
think anybody's arguing that fact.
If I'd have
It's
had
just-
200 feet, they would have made me pay for it.
yeah.
I realize that, but.
I mean, it sucks either way.
One was a
I-
little bit different. That was included in the price of the house, and now these people.
Mine came when I was unemployed, and the village said, you got 30 days.
Well,
I come to the council and begged for another year, and they said no.
They said no.
They said, you got 30 days.
Well, I'm
30 days doesn't seem reasonable though.
30 days does not.
Because
seem
I was
reasonable,
past the
but-
time of when I got my notice. They gave me notice
Today's
that I had
market,
to.
you're gonna be hard pressed to get somebody to come out and do it.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, we could just do the whole thing. And
well, or even part of it. You
But
know,
I don't
whatever
mean,
we
I don't
do,
mean we
though.
pay for it. I mean, we have a contractor do it all and it's all done in one shot.
I actually
So we don't have
tend to agree with
sections of it.
that.
Yeah.
And besides that, we have never, I've been on the council 30-some years, we have never had anybody put a sidewalk in that didn't have a sidewalk. Is that right, Jan?
I don't have a sidewalk down where I
I know,
live, never
I know.
have had.
But yeah. Yeah, and there's so many people, I don't have a sidewalk, Jan don't have a
We
sidewalk.
had people
So we need
where
to
we had
assess
to
you too.
repair.
I just think that $8,000 is a lot of money.
I agree with you.
There's no argument there, it is a lot of money.
Whatever
So
decide to do.
we either get sidewalks or we don't. They're gonna cost money. I am for getting sidewalks, and I'm, you know, the great thing is we can spread it out over 5 years. You know, if it's $5,000, that's $1,000 a year. Yeah, property taxes suck, but that's the great thing about living in the village of Antwerp.
One of the things that I've seen that seems to work well is you assess property owners a fee, a monthly fee for sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
And we have it,
All property owners.
everybody that owns a piece of property.
I would
So you may charge them $4 a month, just like you do with, you know, yard waste and things like that. And it goes into a common pot. And as it builds, when you have a project such as this, you just withdraw it from that pot to do that project.
I would be in favor
And you
of
just
that.
keep, it takes a while for it to build and stuff, but, you know, I mean, we've got, you know, approximately, 900 water customers, right? So if you charged them, $5 a month, it's $4,500, it'd generate about $50,000 a year.
But then you run into the issue, the person that has more frontage, the person who pays $5 and this person pays $5.
There's no perfect solution.
No, there isn't.
I'm just trying to come up with an
But-
idea.
But the most fair is that what you own is what you pay. I mean, if that was Kenny's, I think Kenny would put it in. If it was Jan's, I think Jan would put it in, because it's needed.
It is needed.
It's needed. It's not something that I think we can keep putting off. It's been put off for years.
I would think that, I like,
I've communicated with him, engineering, pricing, and everything. He just received that in his email. So what is my
It
next step?
says in here, you have to,
Council has to pass a resolution.
the cost plan specification, estimate of cost of such construction repair to be prepared, showing the location and dimensions of such sidewalks, so all of
All
that's
the
in there.
engineering is there.
And the estimate of cost, that's all in there too.
well, you've got an estimate of cost.
Yeah, and from the engineer
Right.
is what you would use.
Well, they have to make a decision on it, how they're gonna
Right.
fund it, cause that
I just
decides
wanna
on
make
which
sure that I'm
statute
not-
we go under. And I don't hear a consensus, so you guys, it's a council decision.
I would like to see the town pay part of it.
I'll make a
That's a
motion
chapter
that we pay $100
727.
per lot.
That's a whole other statute though. So I mean, I have to have better direction than that, cause if 727 is when we go and it's paid in whole or in part by special assessments, which means the village is gonna pay for part of it. That requires a whole other process than if we're gonna do like we've done in the past, and we're gonna say, okay, we are going to start the process, declare the resolution of necessity. These homeowners, you have so much time to put in your sidewalks, if you don't, then we're gonna put them in and we're gonna assess it. If we're hiring the contractor, it's under one provision. If we're telling them, you go hire your contractor and do it, it's a different. So that's the decision that needs to be made.
Whatever we do, we're gonna have to make a blanket, because 5 years from now, if we decide that down on your street, you're gonna have to put sidewalks in, we're gonna have to do the same thing for them that we did out there.
I
Which
think,
that was already kind of done years ago, that the homeowners, property owners paid.
Back in 08 or so.
well,
Yeah.
let me bring this up if it means anything. We're gonna pay for a sidewalk on Buffalo Street.
We are.
We are.
True.
Dr. Gray's office street?
No, not Buffalo, Railroad, I'm sorry, Railroad Street.
Yeah, but we secured
Grants.
grant funding.
Well, I know that.
Isn't it?
There was a commitment made before my employment to do this project based on a large capital outlay of investment on a building.
Right, I know that. I was
So in turn, then I went and secured funding from the commissioners to help defray that cost, because originally, this was supposed to be like a $60,000 project, and it's not $60,000. But, I mean, we had the ODOT grant, but we turned that back in simply because it was gonna triple the cost of the sidewalk. Or, well, it was gonna actually more than triple the cost of the sidewalk. So it'll cost the landowners far more than if we just pay a contractor to do
Right.
it.
And that's why I think this is the best deal.
And we've kind of narrowed it down to the least and inexpensive alternative for everybody right now as far as the project goes.
And that's dumping the whole cost. And besides that, how, with the new dollar store going in, is there gonna be that much foot traffic out that way?
I don't think it matters.
Well, all I can say is
That's the end of
uh,
town we're trying to
that's
develop,
about-
is that right?
One of our county employees is gonna be involved in that $8,000. And there, I don't know about other people, but I just think that the town is gonna pay something. I think that if a homeowner wants to put a sidewalk in, he has to pay it all. I think if the town says you gotta put one in, the town is gonna pay like half of it or so. There ought to be a percentage.
Based on what though?
Huh?
Based on what? Like, how do you determine what?
What the half-
What if they put it in? You say, okay, you get a 10% tax credit off your property tax that year.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. but-
I like the idea of the village being in charge of the project, so it's all done the
Consistent.
same, yeah, it's all done the same. The
Well, it's
village
gotta be
meeting-
done, I mean,
I think it
there's
should be.
standards,
Yeah.
even if you allow the property owners to do it, they have to do it by the sidewalk ordinance. I mean,
right.
they're all gonna be,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all gonna be the same width, they're all gonna be the same, I mean,
it'll all be the same, yeah.
right. I mean, I don't care which way you guys do it, I'm just saying that's part of the requirements. If you require them to do it, which we did before, and everybody,
Yeah, I feel like I'm
did it.
being outnumbered, but I still say that's a lot of money to ask these.
Well, I think we all agree with that, Kenny. It's a lot of money, we realize that, but I think it's something that's needed.
Well, I'm not saying it's not needed.
There's the cost of money over safety, it kind of is insignificant.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying that maybe the town should help a little bit on this. That's a lot of money.
So what do you propose?
If they would help with half of it, would be,
Half?
yeah, it cuts it down to $4,000.
Yeah, but how much is that for us though? Like for the village? How much, what's
25
that?
grand.
25 grand.
Here's the dilemma that you have. Everything you do always sets a precedence. So
Right.
once you do it, you
Yeah.
have no reason to tell someone they can't.
Yeah, no,
And that's That's the problem with, paying for it or paying a part of it. Because there's
Yeah, go ahead.
there's a lot of places in this town that need a sidewalk.
There is. It's not
And I
just,
think if
not
you're
just
gonna tell
Erie.
people they need to pay for it, I think you're gonna have to tell them, let them use their own contractor if they want to. I mean, they're paying for it. If they don't wanna use who the village is telling them to use.
Oh, yeah, that's, but
I do like Jason's idea. We just hire the contractor and be done.
That's a
Well,
different
but it-
process then.
yeah,
We're going under a different statute.
that's,
Okay.
that's a good.
And if you're making them pay for it, I don't know if you really wanna dictate you have to use this contract.
Okay,
I
okay.
mean, so it's a
I think
little bit.
that's,
Is that,
Yeah.
that
That
is
might
an
be a
issue?
little
It's a little
yeah.
much. That's why I
I
think
just
there's the
don't-
dichotomy. I think that's why chapter 727
Okay.
is more if the village took on the project and then they were gonna pay for part of the project. But 729 is when you're saying, okay, we've made this decision, the sidewalks need to go in, here's your notice, put in your sidewalk, and if you don't, we will.
Okay,
And that's giving them the option. They know they're responsible for it either now or later, but then they can choose their contractor. Now, of course, they have to follow the ordinance on how those sidewalks.
right,
are
has to
built.
fit the
So
engineering
what do
terms.
you think,
Yes,
Steve?
that's why you put the plans and specs on file.
Whatever you said, I would make that motion.
I said two different things.
The
I gave you
latter.
the two options.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
The latter is kind
So
of,
you wanted-
which
you want
that
me to
differs away from
prepare-
what he's saying with having one contractor do it
Yeah,
all.
and I would say 90 days.
90 days.
The reason I
when
say
they do
90
that.
days is just because of finding a contractor and getting it in schedule.
So I am going to draft the resolution for us all to review at the next meeting for
Yes.
3 readings. It may not be ready for the first reading, because
Okay.
I don't know if I'll have everything. I think I do, but I'm going to take a stab at the first draft.
Okay,
And it's going to be under 729.
I
okay.
think what'll happen is we'll give them that notice and then they won't be able to get a contractor in there in that time.
That's
Even
what I
they-
wonder if
even
we
they
almost need to
wanted
make it like 180 days, just relative to.
Concrete way to
I mean,
fix it.
180 would keep it before next winter.
yeah, well,
Well,
and
almost.
along with what Kenny said, it is a lot of money, so to come up with $8,000, no matter how we end up divvying it out, but that
Right.
gives them more time, and with the way everything is strained, it gives them more time to find a contractor, and maybe a better contractor or a lower price versus the first guy that they can get, so, I mean, I would be fine with making it like 180 days, and again, that gives them the whole summer, basically, to get
Well,
it done.
just remember, you're not doing an emergency, so from the time we do this, there's 90 days.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Okay.
6 months, I mean, snow's gonna be, flying, so we
Yeah.
need to take a look at,
Realistically, this is probably gonna start all happening next spring.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, by the time we make it fair, give people time to do things, pending weather. I mean, I know around here, weather is very unpredictable on when you can get in and do stuff.
yeah,
like that.
and maybe you don't say 180 days, just say that it has to be completed by May 31st, 2024.
Okay. Yeah,
Something
no,
like that.
No, that makes
And-
sense.
And I wouldn't use that date, I would push it off more into this late summer of like July where it's dry.
I have
Can
nothing
you-
but marked out.
So can you just do a year?
I'm done talking.
Well,
I'm not
no,
writing, I'm
just
not
saying-
writing anything more down until you change
Well, I'm just saying, why don't we just do a year from when we send it out? Like, so if we take
You
this
need-
time,
She has to have a date.
I have to have a
Motion.
time frame or a date, because
So,
it's gotta be in.
if we have
in
to
the
have 3
resolution.
readings, that would be, that's what I'm saying, like a year from when the third, after the third
So
April,
reading.
May, June.
April, May, June, so you read it June, whatever, June 20, that'll.
May, June.
Yeah, but what
So I'd say
happens, there'll be
When's our
sections
July
done,
31st.
sections not done.
July 31st of 2024. See if we can, I mean,
And by then, we'll even know if that's gonna happen out there, we can.
Just,
June 19th.
I mean, I
so
personally,
May
I'd love to see
21st is
the
our
other two
meeting,
years.
is Juneteenth.
If we're gonna do this, pass it on.
He's looking at trying to get
Just say-
something for funding
That'll
out
be the
there.
third reading.
But I do know that
So
we
just say that
doing
it has to be
that.
done by
July
July
30th.
30th,
engineering
well,
and all
July
that.
30th, whatever. Yeah,
July 30th to 2024.
Sidewalk will be raised up, it'll be grass, it'll be,
is that it?
yeah.
See what that date is, see if it's a Sunday.
Yeah, I guess I ought to
Maybe
look at
I
that.
should see what date.
If we,
July
make sure it's not a Monday holiday.
if we would take
July
I
31st.
don't like that either, but.
give it, they do the whole thing,
know.
would that be any cheaper that we could give them a break?
I got it, they do that for me.
I
You
know.
guys have to add something about putting it in with the taxes. on this resolution, so it's all together? If they don't,
Well,
pay for it?
I think absolutely we need to make provision that could be put on.
Well, and
Yeah,
correct
it's
me if
part
I'm
of
wrong,
the statute.
It's part of the
It is.
statute,
it,
yeah.
it's an automatic
If they
thing.
don't do it, then we come in and do it, and it gets put on it gets assessed.
Just
on
assessed
there.
right there, and it's not like they get a bill for
And it's
$8,000.
probably,
Right.
So if,
probably,
if they decide to do it themselves, they're paying upfront.
They'll figure out the financing.
Yeah, it'll be all on them.
And if they don't do it in the
Just-
time
we just have
limit,
to state
yeah,
that that's
then
what
we'll
will
come
happen.
in
We don't
and
have to say
hire
anything
our own
specific.
contractor, install it,
Yeah.
and then assess it onto the property tax. Do you need to know how long it will take to assess? That's all I need.
That's under the other
That's in there
chapter.
already, okay.
Okay.
That's under the other process.
Have you got any kind of a timeline that they've given you, an approximate? I know this is not.
Let me ask you a
absolute,
question,
If they
though.
would start this, would it be next spring, a year from right now?
what, sidewalk?
Let me ask you.
That'd be dependent upon property
No,
owners,
sorry.
Yeah.
because we're having them do their own.
Okay.
What's that?
All we're giving it is a drop dead date to have it done by.
Yeah, and if they don't, then we come in and do it, and then we put it on their
And then it'll get assessed.
taxes.
So we didn't even offer them an option for our contractor,
Well, they'll have the plans and specs on file here
Yeah.
that they can come see at the fiscal officer, and they can see what they have already estimated that cost to be.
The
That's why
problem
you
is,
put it on
I mean,
file.
I'm looking at getting some pricing, something a little more, maybe accurate stuff, broke out by actual property owners. The only thing is the pricing I give you today on concrete,
Yeah.
a year from today, will not be the same price.
Understood, yeah, no.
So.
Hopefully less.
It's gonna
You're a
last.
dreamer.
The longer, if we'd have done this 3 years ago when I started all this, it'd been even less.
It's been $7,000.
That's the thing, as we go down this path, it just drags the project out. And it needs done, because it's.
And once this notice goes out, people could do it this year if they think that it's,
Yeah.
or if they find somebody that needs some work, or, somebody that's hungry and wants to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of options there.
Yes.
But if somebody decides to do it in the middle of the block, is there gonna be a way they can figure out where they need to start and stop their sidewalk? We're gonna have a dimension
It's
like
in-
off the road and.
Yeah, it's in the
It's in the
engineering. price.
engineering, so.
Yeah,
they'll
because
be able
that's
to come
being the
down and
public
say,
right of way and everything.
We're gonna do our own, where do we put it? And they
Yeah.
Come to you and find out.
Well, they come up here and get a copy of the, whoever the construction person is,
Okay.
would come up and get a copy of the prints.
But they're doing it themselves, they're the construction people.
Well, I don't know anybody on that road that would do their own sidewalk, do you?
I don't know.
Bill, I'm charging you twice, I already told you that. Heard you that.
I don't like that.
Hey, where we at on sidewalks, guys?
I got,
don't like
they've given
I
me
know
my
what-
direction for
well, I know
this.
what mine are
We
like.
can
Move
on to
on.
the next
Dragging
one.
it out, but.
Okay.
Mine don't match. I mean, they
I think-
match
I
up
think-
physically, but the
Yeah.
colors don't match.
Yeah, that all changes.
Okay,
about
is there
5
any new
years.
business to discuss?
Next
We have any
item.
new business?
Just one thing,
Okay.
I'll make it brief. Yeah, I've passed out this sheet. I walk every morning with Mr. Boylan and have been studying the streets, and some of them are in deplorable shape. I've never seen the streets break up like they are now. They're breaking up like a jigsaw puzzle. It looks like someone put an air gun underneath them and blew the pieces out. And I walked every street on this sheet is west of 49, goes from Buffalo Street, our farthest south street, up to Park Avenue. I didn't go to Maumee Landing because that's a brand new street. And then I went north and south and east and west. And you see numbers on this, and those are house numbers where there are holes in front of that house. That's how I locate them. Other ones are like Canal just west of Cleveland. But there are getting to be some really big potholes, and they're gonna need attention, and I'm afraid that patching potholes isn't gonna solve the problem, because the streets are really breaking up. I've never seen them like they are this year. And, I invite everybody to go down and take a look at them, wherever you wanna do it or when you wanna do it, but they're gonna need some immediate attention, they're gonna need some serious attention.
That one that's due west, that pothole's big enough to put a swimming pool in.
And
Not without a permit.
on Archer Drive,
It is. I don't know what the,
We gotta get down there.
I was thinking I should go get about 4 bags of patch and throw it in, but I don't know if that would that help?
Which one, are you talking the one right here?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we have to wait, the guys know about it, but we have to wait till it warms up a little bit, and then, yes, we're gonna patch it. I talked to a company out of Archibald that we used last year. They're looking at coming in and giving us a road assessment of filling cracks and things like that. River Street has a lot of cracks on it. That needs to be taken care of. It just all comes down to money
Yeah.
and stuff that with our new fiscal guy, we'll see if he can,
Print some.
yeah, donate or something, I don't know.
You print it, you
Old business?
I was just gonna bring up the moving the meetings again. If anybody, I know we were kind of on it, and then we kind of moved off of it. If we want to move to like, I had looked at Wednesdays or something, like if we did the second Wednesday of the month or something along those lines. But again, just trying to get it off Monday.
Well, yeah, and I
The
just,
third-
like I
the
said
third Wednesday's a
before,
no for me, because that's when I have my town, you said second,
That's
but I just
second.
wanted to make sure that everybody knows that they don't say third Wednesday, because that's when I have my township meeting.
and like I said before, this is something you all should discuss before you do your first reading in October. Remember, that's when you said you start the reading, so if this is something you wanna change, I would make a decision by midsummer, like August meeting. So that way, when you first do your first reading, starting for the 2024 meetings, you have it set up.
Okay.
Cause we already have an ordinance in place for our meeting schedule for this year.
Does that need to go through a committee?
No, I
Okay.
think you guys just all need to come to a consensus.
Just put it on the agenda for October.
I would know that's when your first reading is in October.
So
So
we
you wanna
need
make a
first reading.
decision,
September.
September's the drop deadline to make a decision on what you wanna do for your meetings.
Well, then I guess, yeah. So if you guys think about that or whatever, I was just, yep.
I'm good.
You need it off Monday now.
I
don't
need
you?
Monday. I got a
And
lot of
June
things
is
going on. No,
not
I'm
a
just saying.
Monday.
I really, no.
June is not a Monday
Right,
meeting,
it's a
just so
June
everybody remembers, cause we have a
Well,
holiday.
so does anybody disagree not to do it on the second Wednesday of every month? Because if everybody agrees, then Mel can make the change to the
I
October
won't
ordinance.
remember, somebody will have to remind me this summer to change the ordinance.
I'll send you an email.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
it's-
cause you won't do a reading until October, that's, you just have to make sure you
Wait,
have it
you
set up.
can't do it on a Wednesday?
The third
Third
Wednesday, the third
Wednesday.
Wednesday of every month is when I have my township meeting that I'm the fiscal officer for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we talked about it, but I was just middle of the week. It kind of saves everybody that, you know.
Is Monday actually bad for you, or you're just joking?
No, they're not really bad for me so much as I was just, again, more things like with the weekends and extended weekends and especially getting into the summer, but going on to that, you know, it just, I think the middle of the week, everybody, Mondays.
That's why
suck.
we
I mean,
changed ours at the township to Wednesday, because it was
It's a
problems
problem.
like we had it on a Thursday and there was guys that were leaving for a long weekend. And
Yeah.
on Monday, they're coming home on a late
Well, we
weekend.
have
so-
right now 3 months where you can't do it on your third Monday because
How
of the
many-
holidays.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah,
did
that
the
too.
I
second
mean, that's
Wednesdays, you wouldn't have to
so
do
many
that.
Monday holidays
Yeah.
now
And
compared
that's-
to what
yeah,
it
well-
used to be.
So it just makes sense to move it, and I mean, you could go Tuesday or Thursday, but then there's more sports stuff, so like Wednesday's kind of the middle of the week, less sports, less, you know, if you take a long weekend one way or the other, or leaving early or coming home late type of thing, it just seemed like a good day to throw it in the middle. And if we do it the second Wednesday, then again, that avoids all the Monday holidays, which all kinds of holidays seem to fall on Monday, so that was just my, it just seemed, I was kind of
Only
looking at
issue
it and.
might be is if like church or anything like that, so.
Yeah, when I don't know that. I mean, that's, and again, for you guys, because I go on Sunday, so, you know, it doesn't affect me that way, but I realize my world is not everybody's world, so just, I guess, throwing it out there, and,
Wednesday at 4:45 in the morning works real good for me.
yeah, I could probably,
I could almost make that.
yeah.
5:45.
Can I zoom in? Can I
Third
zoom?
time change to be 5:45.
Just put a little iPad right here, and,
Yeah.
It's great if you have kids sports you have to go to also, because Mondays you miss it on Monday.
yeah, right, and that's, I think, I think Wednesdays usually are less busy, just for everything around the world. So it's sports and all, yeah, so that's why it was my suggestion, so.
Are we ready to adjourn? Did
So
you give your
we're
report?
all in agreement for Wednesday for the meetings?
We'll figure it out in September.
Okay.
I think it's too early to tell me,
Okay.
I won't remember
Okay.
by then.
My mayor's report, real quick.
Oh.
Money to the city, Antwerp, $1,607. To the state, $337.50. To our indigent driver, $13.50. Grand total of $1,958. And now we can have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Does anybody need this documentation
Yes.
from the water pump?
roll call for, who made the motion to adjourn? Bryce did?
Right?
Yes.
And who was the second?
Says draft agreement.
All right, Bryce Steiner,
Yes.
Steve Jordan,
I don't know.
Jason Franks,
Yes.
You don't need it.
Dean
That's a public
Reister,
record. I
Yes.
found one.
Kenny Reinhardt,
Yes.
and Brian Smith.
Yes.